even a paid-for website. It wasn't a .com. It was just piggybacking off of another site.
Right.
And then once I started seeing how many people were actually coming to the site, I had a counter on there. I decided it was time to make it a .com. And ever since then, we've started rolling with it. We decided we needed a place for musicians to be seen and heard and talked about. We've got a music player on there now, so bands can send in tracks. I think we can have like 5 songs on there. And so I can rotate those out every week, and everybody can have a chance to be on there. So if you don't know if there's somebody in town or you've heard about them but can't seem to find them, you can come on there and listen to their music. You can read about your artists. You can hear, like I said, the audio interviews. We have a picture of the week that I try to change out every week. You were one of them actually one week.
Much appreciate
that. Yes. You were on there one week. We try to make sure that, everybody gets a chance to be, a little bit famous on there. And that's our idea. And there's so much great talent in Tulsa that unless they have a way, an outlet, other than their Facebook or Reverb or something like that, it's just one more tool in the toolbox for them to pull out and be able to say, hey, or especially if if somebody's asking you, a lot of musicians will know what this is, but an EPK or a press kit.
Yeah.
For those of you guys who don't know, a lot of places, if you're going to go out of town and try to book somewhere, sometimes they'll ask for a press kit. What have people said about you? What do we know about you? What can we find out about you? And if you've done an interview with us, or we've wrote an article that you happen to be a part of, like the Battle of the Bands, there was a ton of bands who ended up getting mentions because of that. They can read that, and then you can put that in your EPK and say, hey, here's what wearetulsamusic.com, a legitimate website, had to say about us. And it's just one more, like I said, one more tool in your toolbox you can throw out there.
You guys have taken the place of what the fanzine was up until, the internet age. And there was that kind of death of the fanzine, and then everybody kind of had MySpace, and there would be an aggregator of some form. But I'm glad to see that you guys have taken that place, because like you said, unless you were in The Voice or there's another free one around town, and I've got probably like a dozen copies in a filing cabinet around here somewhere, and I can't think.
I know which one you're talking about, and I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head.
I know.
I feel bad about that because I do read it.
I'm gonna find out what it is and go back and edit in right here at this moment and put in the name of that. But not everybody gets those. If you didn't go to the pizza shop or wherever it is that's chilling out that week.
Yeah.
If you're like my wife, who's just that's outside, I don't want to go.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
People, So I really appreciate what you guys are doing, and I think the whole scene is so much better for it. Again, just if nothing else, even if it's not just the fans hearing about other bands, it's other bands meeting and getting a chance to hook up with other bands to do stuff together, and that's a big deal when it comes to building a scene in the first place.
Yeah, and I know we're done with Dixie Wrecked and talking about them, but because of, you can tell what me and Mike do with both of our band and the website. We're big on that. People have asked us why we don't headline our own shows. We'll put the show together and we'll play first, which is very uncommon in the scene. If somebody's putting a show, they want to be the last to play. They want to be what's built up to.
Right.
Nope, not us. 2 reasons behind that. One, we like when we go somewhere new, like when we went to Owasso, we brought Had Enough with us, and we brought Nameless Society with us, because we could get paid for playing 4 hours. We don't want to do that. We want to share the stage with our friends and get people's names out there and get other artists out there. We did it with Left Straight Down when we went to Owasso because they're a hometown band. That's their hometown.
Right.
Let's get them in a venue there. So we like making sure that everybody in Tulsa gets a chance to be recognized, because, if we went somewhere and we played for 4 hours that night, they might not even like it. And that doesn't help anybody.
Right.
They didn't like us. They had to listen to us for 4 hours, and they didn't even like us. So now they're just going to leave, forget our name, and never see us again. But if you've got Nameless Society, who's a rock band who has a little bit of rap going on for them too, and then you have Had Enough, which is hip hop, which hard hip hop, like rock and hip hop. You never know. The person might not like us playing when we start, but they might really love Nameless Society, or they really might love Had Enough, or whoever else we bring with us. You've gotten somebody else's name out there. The second reason is we like to drink. We just don't want to have to play all night and get sloshed and then So, but yeah, we try to do everything within our own power through We Are Tulsa Music and through our band of getting everybody's name out there, whatever means possible. Again, kind of like with when we do Dixie Fest, we're trying to get as many of the people that we've played with in the past all in one place at one time, because we know a lot of those bands have a lot of fans. And they may not have ever heard of, like, some of Had Enough's fans may have never heard of you guys.
Right.
And some of your fans may have never heard of Had Enough. But if you guys happen to play back-to-back and your fans are both in the same place at the same time, they might find a new thing that they like.
And go ahead and remind everybody the date on Dixie Fest.
It is going to be September 9th at Billy and Renee's, which is at 31st and Sheridan, right behind QT.
Yes, which is, at this point, becoming one of, like, the cornerstones of the small scene.
Oh, yeah.
I had never been to Billy and Renee's until a friend of mine from another band in the scene, Balderdash, was like, "Come fill time. We don't want any dead space. So when we take our breaks, you guys get up there and play." And we did a couple of 20-minute sets. Was like, this is great. It's hole in the wall, perfect kind of bar for music and everything. We caught you guys there a few weeks after that, and so it's become a place that I really love to go see bands, because it seems to be kind of where you, like, start out around here now. It's one of those places that...
Yeah, and it is definitely a starting point. Like, they'll give you your chance on stage, especially since they do Thursday night music.
Right.
So that's usually the best chance if you're a new band or whatever, and you need a place to start playing and figuring out how you do on stage. Billy and Renee's is perfect because, you know, they're doing the Thursday nights, and cool thing, I mean, unless you can bring a lot of people, typically any bar in Tulsa just doesn't have a lot of people on a Thursday night. I'd encourage you to bring a lot of people if you're going to play.
Of course.
But, you know, if you happen to go in there and you don't do so hot, word's not going to spread all around town that you're not a great band. And the other thing is even though, you know, some people can call it a starting off point, a lot of artists go back. There's still a lot of... Yeah.
We're playing there the second Thursday in August.
Yeah, Skytown's going back in August as well. There's a lot of people who just want to go back there because it's a great place to play. The atmosphere is good for live music, and the stage is done well. Dusty Robinson runs sound there really well.
Yeah.
So just the whole scene, like cheap beer.
Yeah.
You're not going to be paying out the ass to be going there, especially if you're an artist, you know. Especially if you're, you know, when you're getting paid to play, you don't want to have to use your whole paycheck on beer.
Exactly. Well, and you know what? You got to give them credit right there, because there are way too many places, even still around here, though it's getting a lot better, and it's a lot better than it was 5 years ago. They never come up to you and say, "Well, we'll pay you an experience."
Oh yeah, man. And that's one bit of advice I'll give to new musicians out there. Only because I've done this a few times in different places. I've done it here in Tulsa twice. Once when I was 18 to 20, and now again. I guess, 20, I guess I'll call it. And then in Virginia, when I played with a band there. You are going to get paid in a lot of experience your first year, for sure. I don't care who you are and how good you are. Dixie Wrecked is one of those bands that slipped into the cracks, and it's just because we have a shtick. That's all there is. We have a gimmick.
Right.
You know, we're basically, you're paying for comedy and music. It's a shtick. That's all there is to it. And we never expected to get paid for it. It just kind of happened. But for the most part, you're going to spend a year playing for a lot of experience. You're going to get some paying gigs. They're not going to be great. And if you're lucky, and you know, if you are, I hope all the best to you, but you're going to play for experience. And it just sucks. Now, if you're starting to come into the scene, you're kind of lucking out because it's getting a bit more competitive. Bars are realizing again that you need music on Saturday nights.
It's become a draw again.
Yeah, it has. I mean, I can just think of right on 31st and Sheridan, Billy and Renee's has to compete with Wild Hogs, because Wild Hogs brings in some pretty good cover bands and original artists.
Yep.
Billy and Renee's brings in great bands. And the cool thing about those two bars is they're right beside each other. You can walk between them, watch two different shows.
And it's getting to be like that all around town, man. I mean, you've got the 10 Dogs down the street from the Colony. Across the street from Mercury Lounge, you have, it's not Blackbird, it's the other one he runs, Shrine.
Shrine, yep. Yeah, not only do you have the downtown venues now, I mean, like, even CJ Maloney's has opened their door back up to live music. Fishbones in Owasso has started doing live music again.
Ed's Hurricane Lounge started again.
Ed's Hurricane, that's right, they have. We just played there last week.
Yeah.
And I know you guys are playing there, or you guys just played there.
We played there? No, we're about to go back, too.
I thought you were about to go back.
Yeah.
So there's so many bars that are starting, even if they don't have a stage, are just starting to say, you know what, we need live music. Because... during the summertime, it's hard to get people in there on a Saturday. Especially with the sun staying up so long, people just end up cracking beers at 8 at their own house, and they stay in if there's no reason to go out.
Right.
And then during the winter, once the football games are over, if there's nothing to do, you're just going to go to bed.
Right. And that's it. Why would I go sit in a bar and pay $4 for a Bud when I can buy, a 12-pack for, what,
$8? Yeah.
So, and that's what it is. You got to have something that draws people, and it's happening now with karaoke, with comedians, with live music.
Oh yeah, Tulsa has a lot of karaoke DJs. Gonna have to give a shout out to Dan Burgess with Cowboy Up. He's got a great rig. He's got multiple rigs. He's usually at 3 places in one night. And of course, he backs WeAreTulsaMusic.com. He was one of our first sponsors. He also sponsors the band. He bought us a drum set for On the Road, and he has a sound system set up for us. So if we go somewhere that doesn't have a PA, we can make sure that us and the other bands have a system to play on. I also know, like, Rick Berry. Everybody knows about Rick Berry around town. Michelle Coleman. There's a few others I just can't think of. There's so many, but there's a lot.
Shout out to the Full Monty.
There you go. Okay, yeah. There's a lot of them in town now, and that's cool. Some people don't like karaoke. I particularly love it. There's a few reasons for that. One, I get to test my voice in different ways.
Yep.
I do a really good impersonation of Angus Young from AC/DC, and I'd have never known that if I hadn't have quit just joking around when I was in my car and started singing it at karaoke. Do a really good impersonation of Bowling for Soup. I do some of those, and I would have never known that my voice has that range if I wasn't doing karaoke. And the comedy scene, man, we got the Comedy Parlor downtown now. You got, of course, the Looney Bin, which has been around for quite a while.
Yeah.
But you've got a lot more local comedians: Ryan Green, Evan Hughes, Jackson Nichols, Demario Oates. A lot of I'm trying to think of some of our females. Katie Von Patten.
Yeah.
That way I'm not leaving out the ladies. You got a lot of them, and it's great that that's coming up too. There's so many options. You don't really have, unless you just don't want to go out, you don't really have an excuse for not finding something to do on a weekend in Tulsa anymore.
Exactly. And speaking of not leaving out the ladies, another thing that I have really loved about this scene coming up, and I'm going to try to leave politics and anything too controversial out of everything, because I don't care what you believe or what you like. But it is so cool to see, like, I have seen chicks, dudes, black, white, red, purple, all kinds of people, all in bands, at shows, on stage, doesn't matter. And it's a big change, even in, like I said, like the last 5 years or so. Because when I was doing this around here, right out of high school, it was me and a bunch of white dudes.
Yeah, you're right on that. It actually has been really cool to see as many female musicians in Tulsa as I've seen. Now, granted, a lot of them play bass, and I don't know if that's just to be looking sexy or... I mean, they're really good at it. I'm not taking away from their skill. I don't know if they picked up the bass because they thought it was sexy, but we got a lot of really good female bass players.
And Follow the Buzzards contributes to that problem.
Yes.
But she, or so, to on a side, and for those of you who know who we are, our bass player, she just got stuck with it, man. Our old bassist had been with me and Lefty off and on for a decade or so, and then he found out he was going to have a kid and had to straighten all that stuff out. I know, it's terrible. And she had just been coming up to like do some backup vocals and sing some stuff, and we had commitments that we had to keep.
Sure.
So it was like, all right, here's a bass guitar, figure it out.
Yeah, I mean,
That's it.
there's you guys. There is Lola Ann Henderson from Redneck Nosferatu, very
Yes.
good, and she sings at the same time,
Which is impressive as hell.
It
Because
is.
playing bass and singing is not easy.
Yeah, everybody thinks it is. Thank you, Sting.
It's
but,
way harder than when you're playing guitar.
Yeah, like if I'm playing bass when we're singing songs, even if it's just a little easy country